You know a console is dead when you can conduct a convincing autopsy on it. Almost always a sad occasion, since looking back on a console's library of games highlights just how little some consoles have achieved in their lifespan, like a depressingly poorly attended funeral. The Wii U had a hard life, plagued by an identity crisis due to Nintendo's failure to properly separate it from the Wii, likely born from an inbuilt arrogance that anything with the Wii name attached to it will sell like crazy. It's not the worst console ever made, but when it's flanked on either side by massive success stories for Nintendo, it sticks out as the major low point in the last 15 to 20 years of their involvement in the console market. Though at this point, you shouldn't need reminding that a bad console is not necessarily a sign of bad video games, since there's generally no correlation between a company's inability to properly market a console and a developer's ability to make great games. The Wii U may have sold poorly, but that doesn't mean that every game on it was irredeemably crap. And yet choosing the best games is more of a task than you might think. There's a special challenge to all of this, since a lot of the Wii U's library has been ported over to other consoles, and so its exclusives have dwindled substantially over time. So I want to narrow my search to only talk about games that never made it off of the Wii U. Could you read between the lines and suggest that this video is actually a wish list of games that I'd still like to see on the Switch at some point? Yeah, but you shouldn't say it like that. And speaking of exclusivity, this video is sponsored by Raycon and their exclusive brand of high-quality premium earbuds. I've been working with Raycon for a while now, which has allowed me a chance to use their earbuds for nearly a year, and I've never been happier with everything from the crystal clear sound quality to the stylish design, and also the fact that I don't have to sit here for 20 minutes desperately untangling wires. They fit very nicely in my pockets, and with celebrity endorsements like Cardi B and Snoop Dogg, people are gonna know just from looking at you with your fancy earbuds that you're fully in tune with your stylish side. They start at half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, but sound just as good, if not better, than other competitors. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, and a more compact design, and is available with 15% off right now if you use my link. Go to buyraycon.com/rabbit to get 15% off your next order and to get some well-priced earbuds at a handy-dandy discount. Right, let's talk surprisingly good video games. The easiest way to sell a console is to fill it with amazing video games. The Wii U was a curious case study that struggled in spite of the amazing video games that covered a lot of the main Nintendo IPs very nicely. Well, I suppose they let a few fan bases down, considering that there wasn't a new Zelda or Metroid game on the system, and I wish there wasn't a new Animal Crossing game on the Wii U, but there's a lot of quality here if you're willing to look for it. In fact, you might even stumble across Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, a game that looks at the gamepad and thinks, damn, we could use a touchscreen to control Kirby again and make it even more interesting. It's not often that you get a second chance at a unique control scheme. Might be a good idea to take the chances you get. Back before the days of the Switch, the Wii U represented a strange combination of Nintendo hardware. You had the name and quite a lot of the technology from the Wii, but also the touchscreen from the DS and the 3DS, and that led me to think, could DS games be reconfigured to appear on the Wii? Now, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is an original game, but it has the same control scheme as Canvas Curse on the DS, and hey, I really enjoyed that the first time around. I reckon I could go for seconds. I love games with unique art styles, and between Yoshi's Woolly World and Breath of the Wild, and especially Kirby's Fun Time with Rainbows, the Wii U has a lot of games that fit that criteria really well. Rainbow Curse has this incredible claymation style to it that gives it an infectious charm that few games can match up to, and while it would have been nice if the aesthetic had more of an influence on the gameplay, like how Kirby's Epic Yarn used the yarn at basically every opportunity, it's unique enough to set it apart from a lot of other Kirby games. Creating paths with the Wii U gamepad feels like the hardware was made just for this game, and in fact, there aren't many games out there that use the gamepad as competently as this. Kinda makes me a bit sad that there aren't many Switch games that use the touchscreen in any significant way. Did we use up all game ideas on the DS and the Wii U or something? You need to try harder, guys. It's all well and good relying on your big hitters, but without new ideas, any console will struggle to get far off the ground. Fairly obvious really, life will start to feel very repetitive if you buy a console every 6 or 7 years and end up playing the same kinds of game on them all the time. It pays to get creative, and thankfully, if there's one thing that Nintendo has almost always pushed to the front, it's creativity, and even though not every idea they have is likely to ship millions of copies, I appreciate the effort every time. The Wii U was badly in need of a new IP when E3 2014 brought in new hope for the future of this struggling console, thanks to one unusual new game featuring kids and squids and colourful paint, and hey, when was the last time that Nintendo made a shooter game anyhow? Reckon that might be a keeper. Splatoon was, and still is, a majestic beast. We tend to forget how great the first Splatoon game was, since we have the sequel to play with these days with all its DLC and sexy switchness, but there's a damn good reason why there's a sequel in the first place. It's a beautiful thing really, since Splatoon's playful aesthetic gives it more character than the majority of third-person shooters out there, which then attracted a vast dedicated fanbase that helped to bolster features like the Splatfest, so they became these huge events that decided conflicts as old as time itself, like cats or dogs and ketchup or mayonnaise, with the rewards being a suitably grand gesture of reminding everyone that if you're enjoying this video and want to see more, then click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications of every new upload. If Splatoon didn't get a sequel, I think we would have been campaigning since the early days for it to be airlifted off of the Wii U in some way, since with a community as large and as strong as this, no one was ever going to be happy with it remaining a flash-in-the-pan Wii U game. I don't think it's the best game that Nintendo put on this console, but I think it might be the best new thing they did for the Wii U, and an encouraging sign that there was still some creative spark among the ranks. I was definitely worried there for a second. Having a good lineup of launch titles for your new console is absolutely vital for building momentum and ensuring that you're selling copies quickly. We'll see with the PS5 and the Series X as they're able to release with a set of attractive games to play on day one, but the Wii U was not as fortunate. It had at least 23 games to play on day one, and most of them were not very exciting. There's a reason why Breath of the Wild being a Switch launch title was such a big deal. Without it, the Switch would have been left high and dry without any big release to coax people into jumping aboard, and it would have been up to 1-2-Switch and fucking I Am Setsuna to fly the flag until the Switch got its act together. The Wii U didn't have Breath of the Wild, or at least not on launch day, and so prospective buyers were left looking at a list of games that included Game Party Champions and a crappy version of Black Ops 2 that had the unenviable task of convincing people to shell out $300 to be part of Nintendo's fucking weird future. One of the few upsides I can think is that Nintendo lent heavily on Nintendo Land as a launch title. And I know it's not a major IP, but it was designed to showcase the more multiplayer-centric side of the Wii U. And I loved it. Yeah, it's just a collection of mini-games for the purpose of demonstrating the different components that now make up the Wii U's hardware, including a gamepad with a screen separate from your TV's display with lots of juicy gyroscope action, but the actual quality of the mini-games on offer is surprisingly solid. Like, they're not just low-effort excuses for showing off gimmicks, each one has clearly had a lot of time put into it to make sure that each of these mini-games are actually a ton of fun to play. I have very fond memories of running around after friends in Mario Chase and making daring escapes in Animal Crossing Sweet Day, and even the more single-player games like The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest and Donkey Kong's Crash Course were so entertaining to play through. Battle Quest still has the kind of one-to-one sword combat that Skyward Sword can only dream of, I'm just saying. Nintendo Land is amazing in a way that makes me really annoyed that something like 1-2-Switch didn't have more of a Nintendo spin on it. Because you gotta know that all of this would have been better if Mario and Kirby and Captain Falcon were characters instead of these random ass humans. God damn Nintendo Land, making me want more from my tech demo minigames. It's hardly fair at all. It's been a long unwritten rule that a new console is typically the best time for a new game in a franchise. Just seems appropriate to mark the release of some exciting hardware of a game that a console manufacturer can use for easy justification that they're not wasting anyone's time or money by upgrading their tech. Plus, if you want to sell a game and/or a console that houses said game, it helps to use recognizable characters that people are familiar with. Despite its problems, the Wii U does mark a significant enough step forward in technology, and no game makes this more obvious than Pikmin 3. Well, I suppose the graphical changes made from Super Smash Bros. Brawl to Smash 4 are also pretty incredible, but I had a hard time deciding if the 3DS version of Smash 4 would ruin the whole Wii U exclusives thing I got going on here, even though it's a very different kind of game. Not an issue with Pikmin 3 since it sadly hasn't been ported to any other console, but damn, it definitely gets the most out of the console it ended up calling home. Wouldn't mind a re-release though. I feel like it's a bit off topic to say that the Pikmin trilogy is still very much deserving of a re-release on the Switch at some point. You know, it's probably bad to say that in a video that's celebrating what remains of the Wii U's exclusivity, but until I get the chance to play Pikmin 4 on the Switch, I'm always going to pine for a chance to play all of the Pikmin games in one place. Hey Pikmin does not count, and I think you know that. It felt like ages between Pikmin 2 and 3, and that's because it was 9 years, and it kinda was. This franchise skipped over the Wii, but did release the first 2 games again on the Wii under the new Play Control label. I didn't even know this until recently, but for some reason this included Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, but it swapped in the Wii Remote and Nunchuck for the bongo drums, and I'm sorry, but that's a downgrade however which way you shake it. My point is that Pikmin 3 was a long time coming, and it shows since this game cobbles together a lot of ideas from the first 2 games, while also injecting some new concepts like rock and winged Pikmin. Being on the Wii U also let it have a ton of different control schemes to acclimatize returning players by allowing them to choose whatever feels comfortable for them. So it gathered up people from all walks of life so they could come together in mutual appreciation for tiny colourful aliens. Pikmin 4, if and when it happens, will be a great time, but the third game was such a shining light under dark circumstances, and it should be remembered as such. If every Wii U game was this important within its own franchise, this video would have been a lot harder to make. Thanks for making it so easy. It pains me that the Wii U didn't do as well as its promise hinted at. By this point, I feel like I've outlined why it flopped, but I think we need to go back to the relative mistreatment of iconic characters. I mean, Pikmin had it pretty sweet, but when you look through a list of games that weren't on the Wii U, its failings start to make a lot more sense. I wasn't disappointed by Super Mario 3D World, but after the Wii had 2 fully realised 3D Mario games on it, I think I expected at least another game like it on the Wii U. Whether that was a Super Mario 3D World 2 or something more conventional, I don't think you can blame 3D World for the relative void of traditional Mario platforming. Besides, if this game was more of the same, Super Mario Odyssey wouldn't have been as much of a revelation when it came out. So I'm happy with what we got. I looked through the ever-dwindling list of lonely games that were only ever released on the Wii U, and 3D World is the one that stands out more than any other. No mainline Mario game has ever been able to bring together multiple players for a common goal like this before, and despite a somewhat inconsistent camera, it quickly became the multiplayer adventure on the Wii U. You know, something like Nintendo Land is fun, but this will keep you going for hours and hours. It is unconventional as far as Mario games go, but it's honestly so refreshing as a concept that I'm a little sad that we never got another game like it. The alternate perspective lets Nintendo go a little wild with level design, and the further you go through the game, the more you realise that Nintendo has been crying out for a Mario game that matches the openness of a 3D game with the creative flexibility of 2D. Throw in some exciting new power-ups and some spectacular set pieces, and you've got a bona fide classic Mario game. Fucking wasted on the Wii U though. Someone had to say it. This remembered Luigi, and the one common criticism I saw levelled at Super Mario 3D World when it came out was that it didn't do much to use the unique features of the Wii U, and that's hardly a lie, it's pretty obvious, but it's also very encouraging for it potentially ending up on the Switch at some point. It's strange because we have all these wonderful Wii U games that celebrate what the Wii U was, that may redeem it somewhat, but also the ship has sailed on that console. I feel like we should try hard to preserve old media at this point. So, what topic would you like to see me cover next? Leave your suggestion in a comment on this video because I'll be taking the best ideas and making a poll on my community tab, which you can then vote on to decide what the next video is about. I'll be announcing the winner of the poll over on my Twitter, so make sure you follow me so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.